If you wanna play, make it about a...
Good morning, I'm Jeannie with Creations by Jeannie, and today we are going to be making this dream catcher card using the new photopolymer stamp titled Lovely Amazing You. I used the saying good wishes your way because a dream catcher is supposed to keep out bad dreams. And then I used the 4 feathers stamp set along with the matching feather framelit die. There's a few things that you'll need with this card. That is going to be 1 strip of paper cut at 3/8 by 11 inches. Then you will need just a small piece of Whisper White to do your feathers on. Card base, and you can do your card base any size really. I chose to cut mine at 4 1/4 by 11, folded in the middle for 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Then my middle layer is cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4. The top layer that we will be working on is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp a couple of feathers, and I will show y'all what we did there. Okay, in this little container, I usually just use a piece of paper to lay under. I sprinkle my clear embossing powder, and then I just pick up the paper, dump it back in. But today, I went ahead and put some into this bigger container because I want this to be a pretty quick process, because we are going to be using just regular classic ink, and then we're going to emboss that. Okay, I forgot to mention a couple of other items that you will need before we get into this is you're going to need some linen thread, and then I chose, these are turquoise beads, and I can't remember what the other is. It's something like a crinoline, don't quote me on that. I will try to get that and put that on the website. The beads though are genuine turquoise. I mean, sure, you can find them in other items besides turquoise, which would be a lot cheaper, but this is just something that I had at the house already and decided to use on the card. And those are, I don't know if they're considered very large seed beads or really tiny pony beads. But even a smaller seed bead would work as well to thread, but you'd have to have a needle. These, the hole is big enough that I could just thread straight through with no needle. So alright folks, now I'm going to show y'all some stamping techniques. Alright, now we've got our feathers ready. We're just going to ink these feathers up. And I want it to be pretty inked, pretty good for this. Can we set this ink aside? Now I'm going to stamp my feathers down. Now, while it's still wet, I don't like to hesitate too much. We're going right into the clear emboss. And I sometimes just put it over it twice because it is classic ink, and I like to make sure that I get it covered pretty well. Okay, now that is done. Now I'm going to turn on the heat gun so I can set this, and I will see y'all in a moment. Alright, now I'm back and we have the feathers are done. Now we get to bring in the big shot, and we are going to cut those two out. Okay. Boy, my big shot is just dirty. I need a crafter sewer out there that can make me a cover to put over that because that is messed up. Okay, we're going to put our platform down. Alright, with my big shot, we've got the platform down, and then I have one of the cutting plates. I'm going to set my dies over the top. I don't think I'll be able to do both at the same time. I think they'll be too close. Let me just check. Yeah, they're going to be over the top of each other, so we don't want to do that. Okay, so I've got this one down. I'm just going to use a piece of washi tape over the top of it because I do not have a magnetic platform, which would be nice, but I don't have it. So we're going to put this on top, and I just sent my beads flying. Okay, we're just going to run that through. I'm just going to go back this way. Okay, and if y'all can see that, that cut out beautiful. I've got it on there, and we're going to run it through. I'm just going to take it back the other way because I have stuff on the other side of the desk. We don't want to knock it down. Okay, after you get all your feathers cut, you can move your big shot out of the way because you won't need it again. Once you get your feathers cut, and I added one different color. This one is done is crisp cantaloupe. I could not find my Calypso Coral, or I would have done it in Calypso Coral because I think that would have made a much better, brighter feather. But we're going to do some stamping on it, so it'll be different. And it is not embossed, by the way. All the others are embossed, but this one is not. And you can see that on here, that it's flat, where these have a shiny, you know, and then they're bumpy because of the embossing. Okay, after we get this done, we're going to kind of just push the feathers aside for now. We're done with that. Now, we're going to bring in this 3/8 by 11 inch strip. And I still managed to get embossing powder everywhere. And this is just rough, very rough. Okay. Now, we're going to stamp, and I forgot to mention the colors. We're going to use Sahara Sand, Crumb Cake, and Soft Suede. And well, no, we won't need the Tempting Turquoise on this one yet. So but we will need that again. We're gonna put that aside. We no longer need the black because I got my feathers are done. Okay, on this little strip, we're going to do some sponging, and it's not, I don't know how to describe it. I'll just have to show. Okay. Got my sponges here. Okay, I'm going to start with the lightest color, which is pretty much how I always do all my stamping when I'm going to do layering. Okay, we're going to start with the lightest, which is, what did I say that was? The Sahara Sand. Sahara Sand, Crumb Cake, and Soft Suede. Okay. I'm not going in circles or anything. I'm literally just going straight up and down because I want it to kind of have a stippling looks with like little dots kind of. I don't know if that is translating what I'm trying to say or not. And you don't have to coat it real well. You can have light and dark spots. And I just do both sides. Okay, now I'm back, and now you can see that is done. We're just going to set this strip aside for a few moments. And now we're going to move on to the top layer piece. We're going to start again with our lightest color, the Sahara Sand, and we're going to do the same thing. We're not going to rub the ink in, we're just going to dab or tap it all the way around. I lost a sponge, so I'm using the side of this one. And this one, I'm going to put some of this color out into the middle, but not a whole lot. Okay, now we're just going to go on to the next color. Okay, now we have this done. Now we are going to come back in with the turquoise. And now we're going to do some turquoise colors around in the center of the top layer. And I might have got a little heavy on the edges with this one, but that's fine because, you know, like I say, every card is unique and different. So now we've got that stamping done. Now we're going to bring in the bottom layer that the top one's going to sit over. Now you can just leave it plain if you want, but I went ahead and took the soft suede and I just went around the edges on this. And it didn't quite matter how far you go because obviously this is going to set over, so just a little bit's going to be showing. Now I went ahead and I also sponged on this one, and I think we're going to use the Sahara Sand. Or, I'm sorry. You know, I need to go back to bed and wake up. This is the crumb cake. And, oh, and this is, I did do this piece of math paper that no, that's measurements. Okay, I'm going to stick that in there because I don't want to mess up the inside of the card. Okay, that is all of the sponging for the card part, other than the feathers.
Right, this is not outside.
Alright, now we're going to bring the feathers in. Now with the feathers, I'm going to do some sponging around their edges. And this one I want to get a little bit more. Because of it being lighter. Okay, that's good. Okay, I am done with the feathers. I went around the edges of the feathers with the lightest color. Let me make sure I've got everything in frame. Yeah. Okay. I went around the feathers. I sponged the edges and then kind of put color in side the feathers as well. So those are done. They can go over to the side. Now we're bringing this piece in, and here's a piece that I've already curled. And to do that, I just used this is just a color pencil, kids crayon marker. Okay, we're just going to go in a circle, just around and around. Now this is the hardest thing that I did, was this, because it did not want to stay. Okay, now this is just to get the shape, because it is going to be smaller and tighter. Even these are too loose, but we'll keep twisting until they're small. And then we'll glue the end. We're going to use, by the way, the two-way glue pen, because this is the only thing that I found that will hold. The Tombow, this has already been glued twice, and it still popped loose with the Tombow and everything else. So now we just need to start working your curls until you can get them smaller and smaller. Pretty much want them touching their own self. Their own self. They're from edge to edge. And this is to simulate, because when they make dream catchers, they generally take a stick or a piece of wood. They wet it and heat it so that the wood becomes pliable. To make the circle, they tie it together, and then it's usually wrapped in leather. So I was kind of hoping that this resembled wrapped leather. Minus, there's no stick on the inside. Okay, you have to curl one in, hold it, and get the other curled. And some of them may be a little looser. And again, this is just, you may have to do it several times to get it to work out. Okay, now, pretty much got it. Let's get this end off. Should have already had it off. Okay, now we're going to put I'm not sure which ends are going to go inside which, so we're just going to put glue on both of them. Okay, and I will be back in a moment when this is dry. Okay, now we've got our circle together. It's not quite in a circle shape. You can stretch it out a little bit if you want and make it as big or small. I kind of kept mine on here a little tighter. And this will shrink up a little bit. Now, do not be disappointed if this pops loose where you glued it, because I had to do this 3 or 4 times. And like I said, the best glue that I found was the two-way. Unless you have something that's really strong that's going to stick right then. But the Tombow, it just turned gummy and it would not hold. So that's what we have. Now our next step is to take the twine, and I know my weaving on the front doesn't look like a real dream weaver, but I just had to do what I could do. I'm going to start right here, tie a knot, that's also going to help hold, hopefully. Okay. Right now I just went from one side to the other side. Okay, I got the string wrapped around, and some places it may seem a little looser, but when you put I use the Stampin' dimensionals on the back to hold it. I just cut little strips and added. And when you do that, you can pull the circle out more, so it will make that string a bit tighter in there. And then you can cut the knot off if you want, or leave it. It can just add to the decoration, add it to the bottom with the feathers. Okay, now onto the feathers. Now this was a bit of a learning curve here too. Now I'm just going to cut some string at different, I'm not even going to measure the string, just different lengths here. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 feathers, so let's get 5 pieces of string. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Alright, now this we will need tombow. I'm just going to put, I usually glue these down to the desktop, and I did not. Okay, I'm going to put some tombow glue in a little pile, or dot, right there. Okay, I'm going to stick the end of the string into the glue, and then we're just going to lay that to the back of the end of the feather, and we will let those dry. So I will be back. Okay, I am back, and the strings have dried. Now, the fun thing now that we're going to do is add the beads. We're going to start with this one, and I think this one's going to look better with turquoise and coral, and we're just going to put that through. Okay, now when you get the bead down to the top of the feather, it's real simple. You're just going to give the top of the feather a squeeze. It's going to be sticky because of having the tombow, and then you're just going to shove the bead down over the top. So therefore the string, the bead, and the feather are all locked together now, and that should keep it from going anywhere. Okay, now I will be back in just a minute. Okay, I'm back, and now we have all the feathers are strung with the beads. Now our next step is to tie the feathers onto the actual dream catcher. And I tied this one, the black feather, kind of high up onto the dream catcher itself. And we're going to just put that through there. Okay, fumble fingers, they're not working. There we go, if I did it that way. All right. And 10 hours later, she is still tying one feather onto the dream catcher. Okay, now you can leave the tail if you want, and you can add beads to the end. I'm just going to cut these off. Okay, there's one down. Now you also want to look at how you want to arrange. We may do this one on this side this time, opposite. So that would be about right here. Okay, we now have all our feathers tied on. Now the next step is to go ahead and secure it to your top matte layer, and for that I just cut some narrow strips of the Stampin' Dimensionals, and I should have done these ahead of time, and I did not. And there you go. I wouldn't want us to secure them all, because that's what I like about this one, is that the feathers move around. Okay, now for this we're going to put some dimensionals on the back. Okay, and we're just going to line this up. Stick that down. Then I should have done it on there already. So we're just going to use some snail to hold this one in place. And folks, you know what I forgot to do? And I don't think there's a way I can pull that back off. I skipped a step, and that's not going to work with that down there either. We're going to see. I forgot to put the stamp on before we adhered it. It's probably not going to work, but hey, we're going to try it. Okay, I stamped into the soft suede. We're going to go around that. Just come up under it. It worked. All right. Now, it is a little off because the text is under the feather a tiny bit. I had to do that to compensate for the Stamping Dimensional, but you're not going to make that mistake because we know that I made it. But that is our card for the day. And thank you for watching. And I hope you continue to watch and like my videos and subscribe. Have a great day.
Peach